Hello, I'm the Curator, and incredibly late is another part of the Decent saga. Now, Decent is full well working at this point, at point of recording. I had a bit of delay in recording this due to personal reasons, reworking on out. I'm going to put a video out saying why. To be honest, I've probably put it out already, and this will probably be redundant to you. Anyway, that's not the story. This is the box for the Intel i7 4790K processor that is currently residing in Decent, and it is one powerful processor, and I'm very glad I saved up for it. But for now, let's just have a look at the box. It's a bit smaller than I was expecting. Because of all the other bits, I was expecting this to be like this massive box, and I'm expecting the CPU to be big. All the other bits have been massive so far, but this is quite little. So opening it up, you get the platter, and in this top bit here, which I think is an odd choice, was the CPU. I just think it's odd because it's right at the top. It's one of the most fragile parts of the entire machine. You just have it right at the top there where it could easily be smashed. Anyway, the package here is fairly sturdy cardboard, and the cooler was in here, packed in by this. And if I recall correctly, there was a special bit at the bottom that stopped the thermal paste from getting all squashed in transit. As I think I mentioned in the 9800 GT, I'm probably not going to do much in the way of benchmarks. I'm just probably going to sort of anecdotally tell you how powerful it is. I can say a couple of specs about it. It fits an LGA 1150 slot motherboard. It's quad core, hyper-threaded to 8 cores at 4 GHz per core. It's got 100 degree TDP, I think it is. With the cooler as it stands, it barely reaches the 80s, even at maximum load on all the cores. It barely reaches the 80s, so it's a decent cooler. And even at max load, it doesn't get that loud. I did have a bit of a problem that might have been caused by me, I don't know. But I was wondering, it was overheating. It was maxing out 100 degrees and going all into the thermal throttling and stuff like that. I was wondering why it had. As it happened, the CPU cooler had fallen off. I don't know if it was something I had done, but it was no longer attached and it was no longer cooling, so it was unsurprised. I'm surprised it didn't burn itself out, to be honest. I'm quite a lucky fellow. But I reattached it. It was fairly simple to attach. You push the nubbles into the motherboard and you twist them, and then it sticks in. The thermal paste is in a design which I think Intel think is sort of like logical, but let's just say I'm looking forward to replacing it. I haven't decided what I'm going to replace it with. Maybe a noctual one, possibly the Cooler Master Hyper 212 Evo. We'll have to see. If I do get a noctual one, I'm not going to get a dual tower one. Its onboard graphics are fantastic. I was blown away just by how good they are, especially how bad the integrated graphics were on my laptop with the CPU I had on that. I should do an episode about my laptop. Anyway, but I can play Minecraft with like 100 odd mods on, and it still manages to reach 60 FPS. I can play Skyrim. Again, it reaches quite high FPS. I do have it. It has to be at low though, but that's something I'm working on. That's something GPU-ish. And I can only think of a handful of games that I've had trouble actually getting playing. I do have Crisis 2, so I'll go give that a go. It probably won't work, but again, it'll just be part of the knowledge I'm getting about this CPU. The Witcher 1 I put on, and it also, even though it didn't run very well. It sort of ran staggeringly. It had a lot of frame drops. It didn't run as well as it could have. There are a couple of games which simply require a GPU to work, like a Grand Theft Auto 4, and a couple of indie games that presumably were built for GPUs because they just simply didn't. So in some cases they didn't turn on at all. In other cases it just was greeted with a black screen. Mass Effect, it doesn't turn on at all. I haven't worked out how to fix it yet. It took a few goes to get Fallout 3 working. in the end I had to install the patch, but I think that's more about Intel integrated graphics in general rather than specifically the integrated graphics on the i7-4790K. The integrated graphics are Intel HD 4600, 4600. If you want to look them up, they actually have a list of games that will work on there. But so far, I don't have to complain. I was fairly worried that without a GPU, I would be stuck playing sort of more simpler games, but that's not the case. I've been able to play all of the Bethesda first-person RPGs. I've got Fallout 3, Fallout New Vegas, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. Arena and Daggerfall worked on my laptop anyway, so I didn't need to worry about them. But they all work just fine. Emulation, I've tried out GameCube and PS2 and Dreamcast. They all work just fine. It is mainly the CPU that you need, a hefty CPU for it to work. And in all honesty, it is just fantastic. It is the best decision I could have made for decent CPU-wise. And if you are thinking of making your own gaming rig, get an Intel i7-4790K. Thank you very, very much, and for watching. Even just thank you very much, very, very much in general, being good sports. And good day to you all.